Hey guys, Tom61, and today we have a review on the Genova, the ultimate campaign or a Halloween update ship reward for the slightly game mode. Last week it was the Bellerophon. This week it's Genova. Now, if you want to know how to purchase her, you can head on over to the shop, and she is 6,250 of the event currency, which is attainable through just weekly play. Like, if you can get this ship for free, you'll just have to be very dedicated to the modes, as you will have to both have gotten the Bellerophon in the previous update and then use it 2 times, along with get a 5-star, along with do a couple of dailies. And by a couple, I mean probably a week or two worth of the dailies, which is to get 2 stars with each ship. And when you do all of that, then the numbers, after doing the math, it should add up to you being able to get the Genova. So, hey, free tier 4 ship if you decide to get really into it. This is definitely a ship I will be picking back up. It's mixed. It's not the greatest ship of all time, but it's definitely fun. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk through Commander and all that stuff. Also, before we dive in, let me just say that I do apologize if there are any fireworks noises behind me. It's finally cool enough to have the windows open, and I'm recording around the time of the fireworks at Disney, which I can hear from my home. So if you hear fireworks, that's the reason. There's fireworks going on in October, because there's fireworks every night. Anyways, let's go ahead and dive on in. The commander we are running is going to be the good old Francisco Mimbelli. His base trait is going to get you that reduced reload time on your main cruiser's battery. The 2 inspirations we're running is the new Halloween commander, Aiden B. Lightful. One, he's going to help decrease that main battery reload, which we'll get into because it's a 20-second reload base on this ship. And then Makawa is going to be the other one. If you don't have Ivan, I think Madden could be a great pick here, because turret traverse is also pretty slow. But Ivan's other trait is to decrease the spotted time. So if you can get him up, you can get yourself to drop off of radar pretty much between each of your shots. It's fun, and if you pair that with Lemonnier, it could be a good time all around. Beyond that, let's go ahead and go through the rest of his skills. We're running Ingenious, Full Speed Ahead, Sponge, Steer Clear, and then Fully Packed. And yeah, that is the skills we're going to be running. As far as modifications, well, there's only one, and we're going to be running that beautiful, that wonderful aiming system mod 1. That's all you need for this ship. And then as far as the consumables go, well, you have 3 consumables. You have the damage control part. It's going to last for 5 seconds, and it's going to take about a minute to reload. Catapult Fighter, well, it's going to last for 100 seconds. It's going to reload 78.4 seconds, and you're going to get 4 charges of it. Of course, we are running fully packed, so we get more charges of these consumables. The other one, and the thing that we get unique compared to most other of the Italian heavy cruisers, or the Italian cruisers are in the game, we actually have sonar. We can listen underwater and be like, there's ships and torpedoes abound. Detection range on torpedoes, 2.7 kilometers. Detectability of ships, 3.7 kilometers. They're going to last 90 seconds. Reload time is going to be 176.4 seconds, and you're going to get 3 of the consumables. Overall, it's nice to have the sonar on a cruiser. It's nice to have it for the Italian ship, because it is definitely a tool you will use while using the ship. The thing I guess you could say we trade off is we don't have the typical exhaust smoke that we would expect when running one of these cruisers. But there we go. Let's go ahead and start diving on into those stats. First things first, hit points. 30,100 hit points with an armor thickness between 13 and 150 millimeters. Let's go ahead and throw up that armor view. And as we can see, is a paper ship, guys. Not in the traditional paper ship, haha, that ship didn't exist in its game. I mean, you got 16 millimeters of bow and deck armor. Not much to protect you. When you go up against tier 5 battleships and even tier 4 battleships, it's gonna hurt if you get hit. This is very much a cruiser that can counter other cruisers and not really counter destroyers, because the fire rate is really slow and you can easily get taken down by some destroyers, but the other important thing to see is that Citadel. Now, the side plating of the Citadel is 70 millimeters, which means if you can get a ship to attempt to shoot you at the Citadel at close range, and you're able to angle yourself. Of course, Membelli is a commander that buffs the traverse speed of the ship, that buffs that rudder shift time. You're going to be able to deflect a good number of shots. The problem is, though, if we look, that top bit of armor is still 16 millimeters. So if they land in the upper half, you're still taking full pen damage. And if they choose to shoot HE, you're taking full HE damage, which is also mighty unfortunate. As far as torpedo reduction, it does have some, surprisingly, 7% torpedo reduction. Main battery, you're going to have 4 2-barrel 203 millimeter guns. Those are tied for first as far as the largest cruiser caliber guns. The other one at the tier is going to be Furitaka. So these are big guns, and they will punch through things. You can get through battleship armor if they're giving you broadside. It will get through it. We'll show it off later. It's powerful if you're at close range, but just kind of need to know what you're doing. Fire range on those guns, 13.2 kilometers, with a reload time of 18.9 seconds. Base on it is 20, but with our 2 reload kind of boosts, this is where we are at. Shells per minute, that gives you 25 rounds per minute, with a 180 time on the guns of 20.9 seconds. HE damage, you're going to be getting 2,800 HE damage for a DPM of 70,000 damage per minute, with a 14% chance to set fire. AP damage, you're going to be doing 4,700 damage, giving you 117,500. Not the highest at the tier, but if you can make your shots count and they can get into the Citadels, it's going to be absolutely beautiful. Secondaries on the ship, it does actually have some 12 1-barreled 102 millimeter guns with a range of 4.2 kilometers and a reload time of 4 seconds. Damage on them, 1,450 with a 6% chance to set fire. Torpedoes, I think this is the hidden gem of this ship. Torpedoes, you have 4 2-barreled 533 millimeter launchers that have amazing angles. I use them all the time because the angles on these torpedo launchers are excellent, and that is one of the things I've absolutely fallen in love with this ship for. Reload time on those torpedoes, 47 seconds with a damage of 9,067. Detectability range, 1 kilometer with a top speed of 51 knots. Yeah, they are not quick movers. You kind of plop them in and hope the enemy, like, maneuvers out of the way, and then it's like, oh, he didn't fire torpedoes. There's no way. They're too slow, and then maneuvers back in. And that's usually how you end up getting hits in the Genovas with the torpedoes, or you're holding them for short range for some knife fighting, which is fun. I've absolutely taken to knife fighting with this ship. and the range on those torpedoes is going to be 8 kilometers. AA range is going to be 3.5 kilometers with a minimum damage of 34 and a max of 42 per second. Not exactly the greatest when it comes to AA damage. Max speed of the vessel, 35.9 knots, so fairly speedy for the tier, with a turning radius of 660 meters and a rudder shift time of 7.6 seconds. Not the most agile of the ships out there, but it absolutely gets the job done. And then our detectability, it's fairly stealthy, especially with that Makawa inspiration, 8.5 kilometers by sea, 5.4 kilometers by air, and 5.1 kilometers when firing in smoke. So those are the stats of the Genova. Let's now go ahead and get on into a game, and we can go ahead and talk about it. Now, do forgive me, I sneezed and hit both of the consumables when I did so. So right off the bat in this game, we did just fire off both our sonar and our spotter plane, or our fighter plane. Just forgive that. You probably shouldn't do that in the beginning of the game, but you know, I sneezed. I apologize. Anyways, we're on fault line off on the left-hand side. We're on what I would call the weak side because while, yes, we would usually be the strong side with that middle spawn kind of coming over to our side, we are the one group of 3 ships that lost a ship in order for the aircraft carrier to spawn rear. So that is just something we need to keep careful of. As far as my tactics for Genova, I've had very poor showings of her at range. That armor just doesn't really hold up. It's been, for me, all about getting up close, kind of knife fighting with the ship, and that's where I've had the most fun with it and where I've seen success. Beyond that, we kind of can't really stand up to battleships at range, because if we get plunging fire, it's pretty much over for us. Now, what we will see coming up here as we take these shots is we're going to get our steering lock, so we're going to hit the damage control party. And that's something I've noticed on this ship. I've lost steering on it quite often. And it very much exposes you, because as we talked about earlier, there isn't much of a there isn't much armor. You need to kind of be angling correctly, and if you lose that ability to maneuver, it's absolutely a bad thing for you. We can see aircraft carrier was kind of over on this side, so this is really going to inspire us to kind of push through. We dodge one set of torps, but unfortunately take the Kotovsky's torps on the nose right there, and because, well, we used the damage control party to repair ourselves so that we could still steer, so that we weren't like broadside right now for the Bayern to be able to shoot us. We are going to lose and flood out for the next 20 plus seconds. Kotovsky tail is shooting out. Don't want to give him any chance to fire at us. We go ahead, finish him off for doing only like 29 damage to him at that tail side right there. And we're just going to take it easy, wait till we see the Bayern is firing. He's definitely concentrating on the Leander out there. I think the aircraft carrier is very much concentrating on us because, well, we're pushed up to a third. I think only this island at this point is going to be protecting that aircraft carrier. We're going to do the little peek over, see what the Bayern's up to, see if we can go ahead and fire off some sneaky torps. Of course, these torps, very powerful. We hit the island right there, and thankfully these torps don't miss anything. And Bayern, I don't know if he's just not ready to shoot at us or what, but thankfully we were able to cross this little pass right here. We hold off on firing just to make sure we don't fully draw his attention, and we shift on over. Now, as far as playstyle for the Genova, like I said, for me, the knife fighting was where it is at. It's about applying pressure. It's about making the breakthrough just to be able to get in the shots that your team wouldn't expect. Ranger now right there. This is one of the beauties of this new concealment range for the aircraft carriers is he's right where he spawns, and we go ahead and knock him with a Citadel for the first shot. And this is where we're going to go ahead and just start taking some damage. One of our torps does hit Bayern for a good little chunk of damage. Sadly, he does repair out the flooding because we don't get any more damage over time. But Ranger goes broadside, and when he does, we're going to just start getting overpens this whole time. And it is one of the bad, is like kind of the duality of having these 203s, because they can be absolutely powerful, but they can also just not perform the way you want them. We can start seeing the Bayern is kind of pushing in. We want to keep this island between us and the Bayern. Wait for him to get a little bit closer. Wait for him to come on in to that island area. We can go ahead and lay torps. Get another little Citadel on the Ranger, and we now see, okay, let's see what Bayern's up to. See if we can help damage him, but also more importantly, start trying to dodge these torpedoes, because we need to get moving, because speed is going to be our defense. And sadly, we take another torp on our tail right there, bringing us down to a very low amount of health, and we need to be starting to play this game rather conservatively, because if we don't, we won't be lasting much longer. But we still want to kind of pursue that Ranger, because if we can take him out, it's definitely going to be something that's going to benefit our team for the rest of the game, especially when you're able to knock out a ship like that this early in the match. And Ranger just sailing away, just trying to get out, but our team has pretty much pushed into their spawn, which is a good sign for us. We hit another Citadel on the Ranger right there. As far as what I think about the Genova, is it the greatest ship of all time? No. It is very much a challenging ship to play, because you need to be able to angle. You can angle against cruisers at the tier. You can't angle against cruisers, and you can angle against destroyers, but destroyers are probably going to be firing HE, and half the time that HE does actually pen, so it's not exactly the most helpful. HE is definitely the weakness of this ship. Earlier, like Omaha and Marblehead are ships that you can actually overmatch, and because of the low fire rate of this ship, me and a Marblehead were in a one-on-one duel. I was pretty much perfectly angled the entire time, but because he chose to shoot HE, that really didn't help me. And yes, I was able to hit 1 or 2 Citadels each time, but he was still able to kill me prior to me being able to kill him, even though we're both in cruisers and I had the benefit of being able to overmatch and hit Citadels. Like, the Genova is a ship that you need to know what you're going up against, what the fire rate is, what the danger you're in, and be prepared to go down relatively quickly. Is it fun playing? Yes. Do I plan on picking it up once all of this is over? Absolutely. But that's just because at this point I've become somewhat of a collector, and I really quite enjoy the playstyle of this ship. Of, you know, the best results, or at least for me, has been rushing. And rushing is fun. You know, getting in there, knife fighting with the torpedoes. It's a grand old time that I absolutely love taking part in. Now, as far as what we're doing here, is we're just trying to stay in the back a little, because of course, if that P-Tor decides to look at us, or even the Montecuculi, we could start to be in a little bit of trouble depending on what they're firing at us. And we need to, you know, kind of cool the jets for a second. Thankfully, there's no longer the threat of aircraft carriers, so we can go ahead and play this sort of defensive role where we don't have to move, and we're not punished for sitting and just kind of finding a spot where we can camp out and do what we want. We see the Leander over there goes ahead and hits smoke. Unfortunately, the aircraft carrier's defensive fighters are still up, so he's going to keep us spotted right now. But at this point, we are just kind of biding our time, trying to figure out what we want to do. P-Tor goes somewhat broadside to us. We're going to go ahead and load the HE. The HE, fairly effective up against battleships, and especially at the longer ranges. The AP seems to be somewhat inconsistent, but the HE does do a fairly good job of setting fires and, you know, just getting that damage over time. You do get fairly consistent fires. I know there's only like a 14% fire chance. You can absolutely buff that with commanders, but the fire chance does very well. We see P-Tor goes ahead and decides to put it out. Of course, is that quick, the quick returning repair party. So he's used one of his charges, but we can still, if we are able to set a fire on him, do fairly well. And right now we're like, okay, well, we have the smoke. Those fighter planes are up. The Montecuculi has his up. We have our sonar back. Let's go ahead and push in, because the P-Tor looks like he's getting kind of behind that island, kind of not wanting to engage us. We go ahead and drop off spot. We're going to try to push this Montecuculi. We have somewhat similar HP left, and we have the numbers advantage with this other cruiser, so if we can take him out, all the better. We see those fantastic torp firing angles, and this is one of the things I absolutely love about this ship, is those beautiful torp firing angles. You can stay somewhat angled while firing off these torps, and that's what I'm really enjoying. And also, the guns have a pretty good firing angle. You'll see that you can pretty much stay angled with 3 of the guns on target, which is very nice and kind of unheard of when it comes to ships. But you can see we're kind of hugging this island right here. We want that Montecuculi to maybe turn a little. We did just kind of shoot the torps right down the barrel. We'll see right here if we can get one of those torps to hit, because it looks like one of those torps is perfectly on the center line for him, and it's just so close. Could we finish him? We could probably finish him with gun. We go ahead, shoot up in the superstructure, get a pen and an overpen, and then we see the P-Tor out there, and he's definitely the bigger threat to us. And we have those rear guns loaded, so let's go ahead and fire our 2 rear guns at him. That's going to go ahead and finish him off. The AP on the ship does a pretty good job. Montecuculi coming in for the torp run. We'll go ahead and return the torps to him. We both take each other out. We end the game with 54,000 and a double strike, which is, you know, pretty good, pretty fun for the ship. Sadly, we don't go on to win the match, but it was a good time, and that's the most important bit. So, guys, that is the Genova. Like I said, I enjoy this ship. It is not the best tier 4 cruiser. It's not the best premium ship. It's a fun, different ship that is a challenge to play. And just understand that if you get up tier to tier 5, it's going to be a struggle, and you're not going to be able to really stand up against battleships in it. It is very much a, let's hope I get a straight tier 4 or a tier 4, tier 5 match, and hopefully there aren't many battleships, because if there's a ton of battleships, it is not going to be a fun match for you. But yeah, guys, that's Genova. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. If you liked the video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya.